So it seems that in recent months, Garry's mod has started to become a lot more scarier. Places such as the dark room in GM Construct, or the mirror room that lies just below it, have proven to be worthy of extreme ARG content. There's just something so utterly eerie about them that's quite frankly hard to describe. The sheer aura around these rooms have been making most people today not even want to go in these rooms anymore. And who can blame them? To accidentally make one of the most scariest spaces in all of gaming, on a game that isn't even supposed to be scary, is kind of impressive. But before the days of GM Construct ARGs, Gmod horror maps were the main method of making the game scary. And oh boy, were they not scary at all. While some may have been fairly decent, and others might have had potential, most horror maps in Gmod were nothing more than a jumpscare simulator.
Oh. I don't think that's a child.
To the point where, after a while, it just starts to get tedious and repetitive when every map is the exact same as the last. Which is ironic too, because how can the two maps that you start with in this game, that wasn't even trying to be scary at all, somehow be 10 times more terrifying than the maps that actually try to be scary? Well, today, I want to figure that very question out, and explore some of the various Gmod horror maps that this game has to offer. To make things a little bit more interesting, I will also be having some friends join me to spice up the gameplay, which is why you might see various people in the gameplay of my footage. So with that out of the way, let's begin looking at garbage Gmod horror maps. Let's get started. So the first map we'll be looking at is GM_The Underground, a game where you're put into a British subway, but then it crashes and you have to explore the various spooky areas. Looking at the map in the workshop, it appears that there doesn't seem to be any story of some kind, with the only thing in the description being tag words. So it looks like we're gonna have to dissect the lore inside the map. So let's get going, shall we? Basically, the game starts in the spawn room where you need to read some rules in order to not break the map. After that, you can now properly begin the game, which takes place on a filthy and really shaky subway train. After exploring further into the train, it suddenly begins to crash, and now the horror starts to begin.
So I heard you're having trouble sleeping.
So shortly after the train crashed, we quickly ran into our first problem with the game. Some of the doors just wouldn't open. This could be because we either already broke the map somehow, or the developer didn't properly polish the doors mechanic. Because half the time the door just wouldn't even open no matter how many times we clicked E on it. It didn't even play a lock sound effect like the actual lock doors made, meaning that some of the doors were essentially stuck. So we had to get around this.
Oh.
We won.
So once the train crashes, it starts to get a lot more paranormal. Going further into the train, you will see a cult sign with a baby hovering just above it. Get too close to it and, well...
Child? Oh.
Yeah. Going deeper into the train, you will see a PNG of the train hallway when opening this door. Going into it, the game starts to get all warped, making us teleport into the void. After that, one of the train carts will be completely upside down for some reason, with a bunch of burnt bodies inside. Finally, after exploring enough of the spooky Gmod scares, you can leave the train into the subway, where the stalker appears to be lurking for the third time. Yeah, you're gonna see the stalker a lot on this map, as it seems that the developer couldn't figure out any other way to scare you other than T-posing stalkers. In the subway, you can find homeless ground,
Honey Nut Cheerios,
a strange spinning clock, and a locked gate revealing the outside world, showing us really small buildings for some reason. Yeah, I don't really know what this was all about. Oh, and we can also see how the train crashed, which it somehow crashed upward?
Let's see if we get
the train crash upwards? I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, wait, how did they go up?
Once we go through this door, it's just about the same gimmick over and over again. A spooky stalker comes and scares us, we go through some spooky areas, and the spooky stalker scares us. Rinse and repeat. This map also seems to suffer from an identity crisis. At first, it seems that this game took place in a subway, but then we go through some skinny hallways, then a sewer pool which you have to jump across, then a maze you keep looping through until spooky stuff starts to appear. After that, we then descend into a hospital with spooky harmless headcrabs everywhere, an event that you can't even go through. And I swear, this could be because of us, but half the jump scares wouldn't even work either. Sometimes the stalker would scare you, and then just stay there. We were able to even kill the stalker at one point in the game.
I'm sorry, Jeremiah. My deepest condolences to you, Jedediah.
After that, you go to a prison system to see inmates, and a spooky charred figure that plays old YouTube horror videos.
I'm the ice cream man.
Once we're out of the prison, we then go into the sewer area with scary fish inside it, as well as some spooky barrels. After that, it seems that we can finally go to the exit. Unfortunately for us though, we actually descend down into El Chapo's lair, where we go through some more hallways, and then we get kidnapped by the stalkers, only for you to realize that it was a dream! Wow. Uh-oh. And yeah, that was it. Looking at the workshop for this game, it appears that the map is actually really popular, with over 200,000 visitors and subscribers. Holy crap. This could also be for the fact that this map was also featured on a lot of old Gmod horror videos. And I will cut this game some slack. It very well could have been our fault that the doors or even some of the jump scares didn't even work. They didn't force us to have no weapons, and we didn't have an add-on to drop them. So we kind of just had our physics gun out for the rest of the playthrough, possibly breaking the elements of the game in the process. But yeah, overall, this map wasn't really that scary. While I do think this map actually had potential, it kind of gets ruined by the fact that loud stalker jump scares happen every 5 seconds. And the map's theme didn't even make all that much sense either. There also wasn't really much of a story to go by, with the only lore being this strange paper inside a cell.
It has been days, weeks, or months. I've forgotten. Every day in the Ugandan prison system seems the same. Same 4 walls. With all or happy moment craved on it. Some bars have words of sad moment on it. It is dark, and there is no difference between day and night.
But yeah, I give GM the Underground a 2 out of 5 for effort. The next game we're going to be playing is Horror Hospital, a map that's neither horror nor in a hospital. Looking at it in the workshop, it's noted that the creator of this map was his very first horror map ever made, being inspired by other horror maps like Hell's Prison and Resort. So you can already tell that this map is going to be interesting. And hey, for being his very first horror map, it appears to have done quite well, with over 4,000 subscribers. So let's get into the game. Now, before even loading into the map, a weird quirk about this game is that although it's called Horror Hospital, the name in the files is actually just GM_ScaryPlace. Once again, another lie. Once me and my friend joined, we spawned in what looked like a sewer dump. After going through some clutter in the next room, we quickly started to notice that there were a lot of zombies in this map. Turn around a corner, there's a zombie. Walk through a hallway, here, fight 20 zombies. Literally just walk into a room, here, have 10 more zombies pop out of nowhere. And keep in mind, this game never gave us any weapons. So we had to spawn in our own weapons to kill all the enemies. And also, naturally being a Gmod horror map, there was also a lot of T-posing jump scares that came out of nowhere.
This is the lore. We're in a Hitler's laboratory.
That was so scary.
There wasn't even generic loud noises to try and scare us. They just kind of appeared and did nothing.
What happens to the wall texture over here? Did I just miss a jump scare?
I think so.
As we walked further into the hospital, we also quickly learned that there was no sign of a hospital anywhere. Like the last map we played, this one also seems to suffer from an identity crisis. First, we spawned in a sewer, then we went through a skinny hallway, where we fought zombies in what seemed to be a doom room. Then, we walked into a rusty apartment with sofas and boxes everywhere. And the theme continues to change upon going in every room. We go through some mazes, radiation rooms, dungeons, labyrinths. Yeah, you get the idea. I mean, at least in the underground map, it sort of made sense, as the lore of the map was actually just you dreaming. But this one is just exploring wacky and spooky rooms with zombies everywhere. In fact, the ending of this map is just teleporting to a forest with floating trees and glitchy water. That's it. Along with the constantly changing map themes of this game, there seem to also be random supply crates littered throughout the map, having things such as health kits and ammo. Some other really annoying things that made this game that more unenjoyable were the various rooms that were just completely pointless.
You're pointless.
There was this vent somewhere along my playthrough that led to literally nothing. There was a box of SMG ammo, but that was about it. So why have this really long vent lead to nowhere if you're not even supposed to continue forward from there? It also doesn't help that this map has really bad pacing, and combined with the lack of enemy restraint, the pointless rooms, and unscary jump scares, yeah, this game wasn't really that horrifying. So to recap, you and your friends wake up in a spooky sewer, and after spawning weapons in your inventory, you go out and kill hundreds of zombies in numerous changing rooms, until you finally teleport outside into, I don't know, the level 500 backrooms. And yeah, that's about your average Gmod horror map story. Now, of course, for being this guy's first horror map, I guess I have to excuse his weird oddities for just a little. But regardless, this map was pretty silly. I give it a 1 out of 5.
There's gotta be something. There's no way we...
So the next game we'll be playing is an Untold Story, a map that was made by the same guy that made GM the Underground, where basically the premise is that you and your friends are on a ship that's been hijacked, and you need to escape the ship in order to win the map. The game starts out like the Underground map, where you spawn in a safe room with a bunch of rules. After that, you now begin the game in a small boat. Upon clicking on a radio button, a Russian guy informs you that one of the ships was overtaken by monsters, and that this wasn't the first time that this has happened. And also, it appears that in the game, your name is Mike. So after you're finished chatting with him, you can now explore into the depths of the infected ship, where throughout the game, spooky jump scares will happen. In the underground map, most of the jump scares consisted of the Half-Life 2 Stalker. This map is sort of like that, except the main monster is now a poison zombie, as well as an antlion guard occasionally, and a car. Once you jump down this ledge in the crate, it appears that there is a huge gap with wooden planks above it. We walk on them, and guess what happens next? Yeah, you guessed it. We fall. Descending down into the bottom level of the ship now, it is revealed that the boat is flooded, with something behind the walls appearing to bash through. Once we go up this ladder, we explore the various helicopter pads, with one of them actually having a person, but upon getting closer to it, it's actually just revealed to be a poison zombie. Great. Also, around the map, there was this strange area with an invisible wall between these boxes. I originally thought that you weren't supposed to go over here, but as it turns out, the only way to go through it is by going over here and activating a spooky bike. After that, we can go through and witness a kidnapping. Once you're done getting chased by the monster, which, to be honest, I think the true monster here was actually my friend, you now arrive at the front side of the ship, allowing us to go inside to see if there's anyone left. Once we go inside the ship, it's not only revealed that there's more of the same poison zombie, but it also reveals that the ship harbors strange beings inside these cages, with one of the cages being broken out by them. After that, the next 5 minutes is attempting to find a key card in order to unlock this door. During my journey, various paranormal activities began to occur, like this exit door here that proceeded to move at light speed, only for the floor the next moment to have zombie hands appear. We also witnessed things like more kidnappings, the spooky creature, and for some reason Gman, who appears to be dead, or at least, I think so. Thankfully for us, Gman is revealed to have the keycard. Once we unlock this door, we go down these stairs and into the generator room, where it appears that all the engines stopped working. Walking a bit more forward, the engines suddenly start working again. You attempt to open this door, and then you fall down a huge pit. And that was the entire game. While I suppose this map is a step up from the last few games we've been playing, it's still not really that terrifying. When random jump scares happen out of nowhere every 15 seconds, the game just starts to get repetitive when the map is the exact same. Looking at this map in the workshop, despite how strange this map was, it appears that the game was received immensely well, with a total of 61,000 subscribers and over 80,000 visitors. That's kind of insane considering all the flaws of this map. Most of the comments of course point out this game's flaws too, and saying how it wasn't scary at all. But yeah, so to recap, An Untold Story consists of Mike and his friends investigating a hijacked ship. They explore the various rooms and strange jump scares, and eventually go down to the inside of the ship, to which they go to the engine room, and then they fall. So the moral of the story is, build better railings. So the next game we'll be exploring is The Fall Horror. And unlike the last two games we've been playing, this one actually properly has a story. Your main character's name is Henry. He works as a salesman in an art store, goes home from his robot to eat, so he falls to the bottom, falls into some basement. In, he is full of kinds of evil spirits. He needs to get out of there. So from what I can gather, my man Henry was just enjoying life until he falls down a hole full of zombies. The game starts out with you on a huge city street, with your weapons being completely thrown away from you. This does indicate that you're not supposed to have weapons in this map, but for some reason we could always just pick them back up. So that was useless. Upon walking further into the street, it's then that you fall down a big hole. And did I say fall? Oh, I'm sorry. What I actually meant was getting completely teleported down a hole, into a dungeon full of zombies. Now, strangely at this point in the game, you're not supposed to have weapons, but for some reason, there are zombies. There's a shotgun further down the hallway, but it quickly ran out of bullets from the lack of ammo. So you just end up running around the room dodging the enemies. Once you open this door, you are put into a huge maze. Wow. How original. Littered around this maze is a bunch of spooky zombies, to which you have to kill them with whatever weapon you got. So after about 15 minutes of running aimlessly around the maze, we finally found a huge wooden door, to which we were then teleported to a hallway with more zombies. You know, why can't they actually just use normal doors? It seems as if they spent more effort making you teleport clicking the doors than actually making proper ones that open and close, which is kind of strange. Once again, the map doesn't seem to have a consistent theme, with the game either taking place in a city, a maze, the backrooms, or El Chapo's tunnel. Once we go through this vent and drop down into another tunnel, we win and finish the game. How do I know this? Well, from the looks of it, the stairs appear to have a barrier on it, and no clipping up reveals an expansive void. And also, there wasn't even anything to do in this room, so I think this is where you were supposed to quit the game. There wasn't even a text saying that this was the end. You kind of just go into this room and walk around for a while until you realize that, oh, this was the end. There was even a comment on this map talking about it, so this map was quite interesting. I have nothing really much else to say in the fall horror, other than that this map was really not that scary. It's pretty generic, and there wasn't even a proper ending to this game. So let's just go on to the next map. So the next game we'll be playing is Gman Sees, a story of 4 climbers that get stalked with a scary G-Man, and have to explore the various buildings and eventually escape. As you can imagine, this map isn't actually all that scary, with the map having strange elements in them that makes it just really confusing. So let's just get right into it and analyze each area. In the map, the game spawns you with a crowbar and shotgun, as well as a trap made by G-Man that has you fall down a hole. The first puzzle is attempting to find a key to unlock a door. Here you can find things like head crabs, clutter, and even G-Man himself in one of the hallways, with the person next to him being a Combine soldier that shoots us. Why a Combine soldier and G-Man are seen next to each other is anyone's guess. One thing that this map really loves to do is design fake traps. Going into this room, the doors close on you and the walls proceed to close in. Despite that, however, the walls don't actually close enough to kill you, and it's later revealed that there's a vent behind these cabinets. So why not have the walls kill you? At least then it would cause the littlest attention as you try to crawl through the vent. But no, the walls closing in were simply just for a scare. Thanks, G-Man. And also another thing. Where on earth does this map want me to go? The game Gman Sees doesn't exactly give you a clear objective on what to do. There wasn't any text or mechanics hinting that you had to find a key to unlock this door. Moving forward, after we go through this vent and kill a bunch of zombies, we finally grab the key inside this crate and move our way back. But even then, when we did find the key, there were 2 doors that were locked, which resulted in us trying to unlock the wrong door for half a minute, before realizing that the key was supposed to go to another door, this one right here.
Shit, it worked!
Let's go.
Oh, okay, never mind, I don't think we're
Let's
supposed to
go back.
go there.
Let's go back.
We found that, hold on.
Let's go back.
There we go, to get it up.
Finally, after unlocking this door, we are then teleported into a huge room with a button in the center. Pressing it will release a bunch of fast head crabs that eventually disappear. Yet again, another useless trap that I imagine G-Men made to troll us. Once again, there wasn't any clear objective on what or where to go in this map. This huge room was bland and empty with dark fog everywhere. After walking around aimlessly in this huge room for another minute, we eventually found a hallway that showed us various monsters and corpses in these cages. Further inspecting the cages shows us that one of them has a stalker and vent behind it. I assumed that there would have to be another puzzle here in order to try and access the vent, but no, you just brute force it, breaking the glass and killing the stalker. Eventually, after going through the vent, the game reveals us that, oh dear, we've only just gone halfway through this bad horror map, as it shows us that we have to load up a part 2 for this. I was almost hesitant to continue playing this game, but I don't quit that easily. I want to know the deep, intricate lore of Gman Sees Part 2, and see if the plot gets any better. So let's go to the sequel and analyze it there. Beginning the map, it starts out where we originally left off. There's a stuck door right here and we need to unlock it. Thankfully for us, a floating key inside the air duct can be seen, as well as a button that just jump scares you when clicking it, and does nothing else. After unlocking the door, we go to another room, with a door that can somehow kill you cold-blooded.
Guys, oh my god! You
Exploring more terrain, and for whatever reason a crash airplane site, we eventually go into an elevator and fight zombies. Inside this room is a code-padded door that you need to unlock, as well as a random shotgun you can find inside this cabinet, but can't grab. Why add a shotgun that you can't grab in this game? I have no idea. Why is G-Man trolling us? Eventually, after solving the puzzle, we go outside into the beautiful HD city, where we find places like cafes and playgrounds, with the playground appearing to harbor some kind of demon doll, as it screams at you every time you pick it up.
what's happening? Where are you guys?
Once again, like in part 1, this map has no clear direction of where to go. In most of these maps, you'll often find yourself in a huge expensive area that could take hours for you to figure out where to go. It also doesn't help that this game is encoded with black fog everywhere. Thankfully, after walking around the city block for a couple minutes, I eventually found a metro, which you can tell it's a metro from the big metro word on top of it. However, despite this being where you need to go, I couldn't seem to open it no matter what I did. I presumed you needed a key in order to unlock this door, but considering how big the area was with very little things to do, I couldn't really be bothered to find the supposed key. There were a couple of rooms we found along the city, like this cafe and a secret room, but none of them harbor anything to unlock this door. Once we open the metro and merge ourselves through this train, we fight a singular zombie and go home. The end. Wait, so what does this game have to do with G-Man at all? We only ever get to see him twice throughout the story, and even then, they were both in part 1. And also, how is the main character reacting to this? He just goes home after witnessing a zombie attack, a stalker in a blue suit, and an airplane crash. But no, I guess we just chill out on whatever kind of house this is. Despite how utterly terrible these two maps were in terms of story, gameplay, and looks, it seems that these maps have been received extremely well, with both of them having over 20,000 subscribers. In the description of Gman Sees Part 1, in a joking manner, it talks about how this game is really immersive and features loads of amazing mechanics and elements. You are the villain, the game tells you. Witness the pain of the villain firsthand with over 14-hour gameplay. Yeah, it definitely felt like that when playing this map. But upon looking at a recent comment done by the map maker, yeah, it's definitely just a joke. Well, that's about all I have to say for this map. There's not really much else to say in Gman Sees You, so let's just move on, shall we? So the last Gmod horror map we'll be playing is Soul Prison, a game that was made back in 2019, containing spooky souls and about 20 locked doors. Basically, the main gimmick around this game is that in the lobby, there are several locked doors. And as you go further into the game, more and more doors proceed to get unlocked. Going down this pit, I quickly found a crowbar and proceeded to begin the game. Now, this very well could have been just me and not the map, but as we went further into the game, I quickly noticed that this map has a limited battery for your flashlight. Being that every single minute in this game, we would stand around for like 10 seconds waiting for our flashlight to charge. Again, this very well could have been just something I did somehow, but it was only in Soul Prison where the system was activated, so that was weird. Nonetheless, having to recharge your flashlight again for 60 seconds is just really annoying. Remember that elevator battle that happened during the third chapter of Half-Life 2 Episode 1? Where the flashlight would also just continue to turn on and off? Yeah, this map is pretty much like that, but it's the entire game. It would at least help if some of the rooms were lit, but very rarely do some rooms have lights, as most of the areas in this map are just pitch black. It also doesn't help that running with your flashlight also makes the bar go lower. It got so bad to the point where we had to make our own lantern for us to use.
Looks like
Now we don't even
some
need a
sort of
flashlight.
weird nunchucks.
With the premise of Soul Prison to slowly unlock more and more doors, it's also no stranger that you have to find a lot of keys in this game. Some of them are easy to find, but others we had to legit start no-clipping to previous areas to see if we missed it. We have to find normal keys, red-colored keys, and green keys. Despite this game being called Soul Prison, we very rarely actually ever got to see any prison cells. Most of the areas in this map consisted of a kitchen, an abandoned warehouse, an attic, and even a school for some reason. Once again, a very inconsistent theme. Some areas around the game had us solve puzzles in order to open certain doors. Like using these keys to unlock the many doors, there's also various other things you can use, like hatching open a door with pliers, using fuel to activate a generator, and even a fake crowbar you can't grab to pry open this door. I say fake because for some reason you can't actually properly pick it up as a weapon, as it's instead just a random prop. Like all of the other horror maps we played throughout this video, this map is basically the usual. Spooky stalker pops out of nowhere, random doors that you have to unlock, spooky ambience, you get the idea.
You hear that?
Yeah.
There was even a point where a stalker popped up and it played a guitar sound.
Such prison.
Was that a guitar?
Further into the game, after unlocking this door right here, we go into a sewer and eventually blow up a small hole with dynamite. And I kid you not, the explosions could not have been any more anticlimactic.
I think we need to back up. Oh,
Okay.
that was the best.
I just murdered a man.
Speaking of explosions, once we left one of the kitchens, it just started to randomly explode for no reason. As well as having to unlock about 10 trillion doors, we also have to crawl through various vents, with some of them being too small to crawl in. Throughout my playthrough, there were also points where me and Dudatron got randomly teleported to these void areas, where they would occasionally light me on fire for a bit before returning me back to the overworld. Kind of strange, but whatever. Proceeding through, eventually after 20 minutes of walking around, we went into the school and into the principal's office. We opened a secret door, only for us to fall in a prison cell, and then the game ends. So you're telling me we spent like 20 minutes doing nothing but going in vents and finding keys, only for us to get trapped in a prison cell in the middle of the void? How wonderful. Looking at this map in the workshop, it appears that this map is yet again really popular. With over 10,000 subscribers and 318 ratings, that rounds up to a 4 out of 5. It's also confirmed that the creator of this map is his first horror game ever made, which explains a lot. There are even people in this comment section promoting their own videos and speaking in Russian for some reason. Well, that's about all I have for Soul Prison. In conclusion, stop locking your doors. And that's all the horror maps I'll be looking at today. Some of these maps were very strange to say the least, and couldn't seem to find any solid way to properly scare you without jump scaring you every 15 seconds.
Oh. That's cool.
While some of the maps were fairly polished, and others had some pretty unique gameplay mechanics, it's all pretty much redundant by the fact that the game fails horribly at scaring you. If an innocent sandbox map somehow manages to be more scarier than the actual horror design maps, then it kinda just goes to show how confusing some of these games were. Thankfully, due to the recent ARGs Garry's Mod has been getting, the horror map genre of Gmod have been slowly starting to thin out more and more. And also, it seems that recently, the new trend of horror maps in Gmod are liminal spaces. And while some of them can also not be very good like the regular horror maps, most were actually really well done and can be very scary despite there being no threat to them. It's very interesting to see how Garry's Mod horror side of the game has grown and evolved over the past few years. And it seems like Garry's Mod is on the right track to becoming more and more scary as the years go by. Welp, that's about all I have to say in this video. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you sometime in the future. Goodbye.
I think that is a. Ooh. What?
We had done something bad.
Just
I hate it. I don't like it.
get out of here.
Oh.
Oh my god.
Oh.
No!
Kills you